We've already made a similar video about what happened to the members of Death Row Records, and it's time to find out what happened to the artists from Bad Boy Records. These stories are absolutely crazy. Someone threw a chair at P. Diddy so they could leave, someone went to prison, and someone became religious. Anyway, there's a lot of interesting stuff to cover. Let's go!
You won't be around next year, my rap's too severe, kicking mad flavor in you.
Craig Mack is the first superstar of Bad Boy Records, who, according to Puffy, created the first hit on the label called Flavor in Your Ear. However, not the track you just heard, but a remix of the song, which was released together with Rampage, LL Cool J, Busta Rhymes, and Biggie.
This is mad, I get more butt than ashtrays. Fuck a fair one, I get mine the fast way.
While Mack's career seemed to be on the rise, it went downhill pretty quickly. Some might even say that his career was cursed from the very beginning, the main reason being that Diddy discovered the Notorious B.I.G, who would become one of the greatest rappers of all time, and pushed Craig Mack aside. Take a look at this video, which shows the absolute bewilderment of Craig Mack.
I'm sure you got much things in store for my man.
Yeah, definitely. We got a new album we're working on him to drop in January. Besides that, we about to just drop our R&B stuff.
The Puff Daddy album.
Yo, they had a good relationship until Craig Mack changed his manager. When Craig Mack changed his manager, Puff didn't like him for whatever reason he didn't. He told Craig, if you don't fire your manager, nigga, you can't work for Bad Boy.
To make things worse, Craig Mack's appearance became a problem. He was constantly the subject of ugly jokes in the hip-hop media, and it haunted him throughout his entire life. Later, we would find out that Biggie was not thrilled about collaborating with Mack.
Is Craig on the album?
Mac? Yeah. Nah, fuck with that though. You can't curse?
Yeah, you can curse.
I don't fuck with that.
You don't fuck with Craig. But I noticed, like, on the remix, Flavor in Your Ear, y'all worked together.
That was just something I had to do, you know what I'm saying? That's politics, Puff asked me to do it.
Although Biggie nor Craig Mack never publicly revealed the exact reasons they did not get along, there were many talks around the industry as to why that was the case. Craig Mack had a reputation for being a very outspoken, flamboyant cat back in the day. He was also known to be a tad stern whenever label CEO Sean Diddy Combs tried to persuade Mack to try certain styles of music tracks that would help elevate his career to the next level. Diddy and Mack had extensive discussions about the direction of his new project, following the hype of his Grammy-nominated Flavor in Your Ear single. But apparently Mack wasn't down with Diddy's ideas at that time. Biggie reportedly witnessed many of the issues Diddy was having with Mack, and over time he may have grown to dislike Mack's personality. Not sure if they clashed face to face, but based on the fact that Biggie had no problem publicly saying "I don't fuck with Craig Mack," it's probably safe to assume the two MCs had some type of disagreements behind the scenes. Mack released his second album in 1997 without Bad Boy, but none of these singles hit the charts, and Mack was unable to repeat his success.
Rhymes flow to the break of dawn, exploring them since I can still on. Like Paul's Dilly on. Yeah, don't forget.
It wasn't until 2002 that we saw Mack back with his Bad Boy fam, only to appear on one single, Diddy's hit song I Need a Girl Part 1. By 2006, Craig Mack released another single, Mack Tonight.
If it ain't get him out, I'ma bomb that town. Got a problem, air it out, God, I'm here right now. Words will come play.
Following that release, it wasn't until a 2012 YouTube video surfaced that fans ultimately learned where the brother had disappeared to.
My name is Craig Mack.
And what did you used to do when you was in the world?
Wickedness.
Okay. And what are you doing now?
Righteousness.
Whoa, hallelujah. Oh.
In that video, it became apparent that Mack had become deeply devoted to his Christian faith, as he testified to the preacher and congregation at Overcomer Ministry in Walterboro, South Carolina. While Craig Mack's faith appears to be sincere, the leader of the ministry, brother R.J. Stair, was arrested on several charges, including touching young girls. Well, okay, that's not what we're here to talk about right now. In one of his last interviews, he told how he almost killed a man in 2011.
I had a gun in my lap. And I'm sitting there, I'm talking to God, I'm like, Lord, I don't want to do this.
But fortunately, he didn't do it. Mack's physical condition got worse and worse every year, and this led to his death. Craig Mack died on March 12, 2018 of heart failure at a hospital near his home in Walterboro, South Carolina. According to DJ Scratch, he was ill for some time before his death and was ready for an unpleasant outcome. Mack apparently suffered from heart failure. He developed shortness of breath about 6 months before his death, when, according to rapper Eric Sermon, he called his friends to say goodbye. P. Diddy thanked and paid tribute to Craig even though he didn't attend his former colleague's funeral. Here's what DJ Scratch wrote about it. "When I left Craig's memorial service, I called Diddy to thank him for giving Craig the platform for the world to know Craig Mack's music," Scratch wrote. "I told him I just left the service. He said, 'They buried Craig already. What service are you talking about?' He didn't know about the memorial service. Diddy offered to pay for Craig Mack's funeral, but the religious community Craig was in declined. None of his friends or colleagues were allowed to attend his funeral. Diddy respected their wishes. Craig was immediately buried on the property where he lived."
Now who got the flavor that comes to dime a dozen that keeps them buzzing, thinking that they fat when they bustin'? Welcome to the world of
Please be the man, wanna see you doing good. I don't wanna get rich, leave you in the hood.
After Biggie was killed, Mase was supposed to be the next big star. He dominated the charts from 96 to 99, but he shocked Diddy by saying that he was going to leave rap and become a pastor. The speculation regarding Mase's sudden departure from Bad Boy stirred up a storm of controversy. How do you have a 19-year-old rapper named Mase who decides one day to wake up and say, "You know what, I want to get out of this shit and be a minister," a former Combs disciple told to The Voice.
The real reason why I decided to start rapping, I just wanted to better my life. I wanted to do something better for my life. Not all the time money is the best thing for your life.
In 1999, Mase, whose real name is Mason Betha, quit Bad Boy Entertainment and announced the formation of Sane Ministries. The acronym stands for Saving a Nation Endangered. He called himself Minister Mase after a soul-stirring vision from God. Indeed, at the height of his popularity, owing to the success of his Harlem World album, Mase reportedly told one radio interviewer, "Tupac, who was killed in Las Vegas in 1996, heard the call and he didn't heed the warning. Biggie heard it, he didn't heed it. I'm no fool." Some still have doubts as to why Mase left. Puffy does not let no people out of their contract so easily, claims a Bad Boy insider. He had Mase under contract for a long time. You let somebody walk into your office and say, "I don't want to be under contract no more," and you just say, "Okay, go ahead." I think Mase had something over him, some little secret that Puffy did not want to get out, and he used it as a bargaining chip to get out of that record deal. After 5 years, he returned to the music scene with the album Welcome Back under the Bad Boy Records label.
You know you like that. You know you like that.
But then he wanted to leave again and even somehow broke into an interview with Puffy, where he asked to be released from the contract.
What you ever had something to talk about? You had nothing to talk about right now.
World nigga double up. We don't play around. It's a bet. Lay it down. Niggas didn't know me 91, bet they know me now.
Then he returned in 2016 during a Bad Boy Records tour, and then started dissing his former boss, and later went live on Instagram to explain why this happened.
They try to dangle money, they didn't think I ever leave. Niggas never pay the artists, but they love to pay the freaks.
When I see the hurt and the pains of other people on Bad Boy, that motivates me to say something so I don't be deemed as a person who just made a bunch of money and turned a blind eye. I'm not gonna be like the rest of the people around Puff that don't tell him he's wrong. I'm not gonna be like the yes men around him that see him ruining people's lives and never tell him he's wrong. More people on here will tell me I'm wrong, but won't say anything to him. They'll judge my beliefs, they'll judge my Christianity, and they'll say nothing to Puff.
Type of nigga fly, bet me cool. Bad boy, aim for the sky, caught the shit, then shoot, bling bling.
Shyne probably had the hardest time ever with Bad Boy Records. At the end of December 1999, Jennifer Lopez, Sean Combs, and Shyne himself found themselves in a difficult situation after a party in New York, which turned into a shootout in a nightclub, as a result of which 3 people were seriously injured. There are 2 versions of what happened. The first is that while in the VIP section of the club, a group of men approached Diddy and mocked the CEO of Bad Boy, throwing a sack of cash at him. And the second is that when they were leaving, Combs accidentally pushed one of the club's visitors with a bottle of champagne, knocking the drink out of his hands. In any case, an argument ensued and Shyne pulled out a gun and fired into the air, causing everyone to leave the club and presumably injuring 3 people. Shyne was acquitted of attempted murder, but convicted on charges of assault and possession of weapons, and received 10 years in prison. Diddy was cleared of all charges, including attempting to bribe his driver to take responsibility for the illegal use of weapons. During his radio interview, Shyne said that he had a gun with him because he had been shot at just a month prior to the incident. The rapper said that carrying a gun in the club saved his life, and that he did the right thing, and if he hadn't pulled out a gun, everything could have ended badly. However, the relationship with his producer was damaged.
There's no relationship there to have a beef, right?
Exactly, you know, he doesn't exist to me, and you know.
Nothing that the man meant to do. He was acting in self-defense. He didn't deserve 10 years.
In the end, it was Shyne who served nearly 9 years for assault, possession of a weapon, and reckless endangerment, and claiming Combs sold him to save himself. Nas even dedicated a line to this incident in the song Purple.
I don't like the way p.diddy did Shyne with different lawyers.
Puffy changed his name from Daddy to Diddy, hoping to put the past behind him. The fact that Puffy ratted on Shyne was confirmed by a former Bad Boy security guard, Gene Deal.
Those people were testifying, they were brought to Puff first, saying that what they saw against Shyne and what they saw Shyne do. The DA didn't even know those people existed.
In 2001, Shyne was released from his contract with Bad Boy Records. In 2004, he put out a second release for Def Jam. This long play debuted at number 3 on the Billboard 200, with 158,000 copies sold in the first week, making Shyne the second rapper after Tupac, whose album debuted in the top 10 on the Billboard 200 while still being in prison.
$1,000 weed, masterpiece, diamond face on your sleeve, helmet lane, waist petite, alright.
While incarcerated, Shyne began studying Judaism with rabbis and legally changed his name to Moses Michael Levi Barrow. In 2009, Shyne was released from jail and got deported to his native Belize. He formally converted to Orthodox Judaism in Jerusalem in 2010. Since then, Shyne has mostly stayed away from the music industry. In 2020, Shyne was elected as the leader of the opposition at the House of Representatives in Belize, after government officials attempted to approve an amendment that would prevent ex-convicts like him from running for office. Shyne says Diddy lent him support. Diddy lost it when he heard that, he said. He got the revolt people involved, he got the publicists, he got his legislative friends. He said, "We can't let this happen." Puff, to me, totally redeemed himself. And in 2021, Diddy helped Shyne return to America.
Back in the town, back from exile. You know what I'm saying? It's only right. My brother did 13 years away from his family, away from the United States, and he's about to do something so amazing.
Shyne was granted his visa to meet with US senators and congressmen across the country to establish new relationships between Belize and the US. With the help of Diddy lobbying for his return to America, Shyne was able to come back to the US. Shyne currently serves as the leader of the opposition party of Belize, with hopes of following his father's footsteps and becoming prime minister. Faith Evans was a popular singer in the 90s and was also Biggie's wife. She was in Bad Boy from 1994 to 2004. After leaving, she created her own music label, Prolific Music Group, and hired specialists to create a label from scratch. After leaving Bad Boy, she released several albums that ranked high, such as 2005's The First Lady, which debuted at number 2 on the Billboard 200 chart. Her last album was released in 2014 under the name Incomparable. In 2017, she presented the album The King and I. This is supposedly a joint album with Biggie. There are only 25 songs in the duo's album, and it tells the story of the life Faith lived with Biggie, starting with her marriage just 9 days after meeting, and ending with his untimely death in 1997. Most of Biggie's verses have already been heard, except for 2 that have never been released before.
Right by my side, through all the changes, we've been through everything.
Lil' Kim, who also had a relationship with Biggie, also participated. The funny thing about all this is that Biggie married Evans when he was still dating Lil' Kim. What a love triangle on the album. In addition to music, the artist starred in films as well as in various TV shows. Did she have boyfriends after Biggie? She did. First, she married Rusaw, and they have 2 children. In August 2010, Evans was arrested on suspicion of drunk driving after she was stopped at a checkpoint. Later in 2011, Evans filed for divorce with Rusaw. The couple agreed to spend 13 weeks in a drug treatment program in exchange for stopping further prosecution of their drug possession case. Evans received a 3-year suspended sentence. Then she married Stevie J. However, there was also a shady story that she had to be arrested once for serious violence against Stevie J. She was released on bail and the charges were later dropped. In 2021, Stevie J filed for divorce, and then a video was leaked where he accuses her of cheating.
So you happy about it? Huh? You are? That's what you like to do? How can you disrespect me though? I ain't do nothing to you. All I did was love you. And you do that to me? How can you do that to me?
Also, many people speculated about what was going on with Pac and Faith Evans. After all, in Hit 'Em Up, we heard the following lines.
You claim to be a player, but I fucked your wife. We bust on bad boys, niggas.
Faith, that was Pac's girl. That was not his girl, but that was, you know, that was him and her and Pac had something together. They was fuck buddies.
In a 2014 interview with Vlad TV, Faith Evans further expounded on the topic and admitted Tupac did ask her for sex when she went to the studio to record his 1996 All Eyes on Me single, Wonder Why They Call You Bitch. At the time, she claimed she didn't know Tupac was signed to Death Row, the label at the center of the Bad Boy Entertainment beef. Evans then went to Tupac's hotel to collect the $25,000 she was getting paid for the collaboration, and that's where she said the proposition took place.
In a very surprising and offensive way, for sure. But I mean, by that time, I think it was, you know, it was pretty clear to me that it, you know, that was all kind of, it seemed to me that was kind of like a plan, you know what I mean?
He's like, that bitch just left my hotel. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, I fucked Faith. And I was like, oh.
Who to believe is completely up to you, but what do you guys think about this? And let's move on.
Had pretty chicks with all the right features and hood rat chicks that only rock sneakers.
Loon released his first album with Bad Boy Records in 2003.
That you show me the way you console me, the way that you used to hold me might have moved.
1 year later, he left the label and started his own company, Boss Up Entertainment. In 2008, after a trip to Abu Dhabi, Loon converted to Islam.
First post-Islamic conversion rap of Loon live here in Al Jazeera.
Like I said, I've veered away from that lifestyle for a second.
Despite trying to change his life, Loon ended up in prison. Some claim he was innocent. On November 22, 2011, Loon was arrested while traveling to Brussels. In May 2012, he was extradited to the United States, and in July 2013, he was sentenced to 14 years in prison for conspiring to sell 1 or more kilograms of heroin. Many reports defended and confirmed his innocence. On July 29, 2020, because of the effect that the COVID-19 pandemic had on prison centers, the former rapper was released prematurely. The band Total, which was known for its choruses on Biggie's songs. As the band did not live long, they released 2 albums. after which the group broke up, and even despite the breakup of the band, they continued to keep in touch. Everything returned to normal during the Bad Boy Family reunion tour, where we saw the classic three. Pamela Long said in an interview that she does not deny that one day we will hear the third album from Total.
That's right.
112 made a name for themselves as one of the top male R&B groups of the 90s, but broke up following their 2005 album Pleasure and Pain, and each went to work on solo albums. The group eventually reunited and released their return album Q Mike Slim Darren in 2017. Unfortunately, the group disbanded once again shortly after.
Be parallel to what happened in 2006. Guys wanted to do their own thing.
Slim and Mike continued to perform under the 112 brand and released a new EP in 2020.
There's no denying. I bet a brick I can hit it. Black tire fair, I got a fresh pair of British icebergs.
Prior to being known as the Lox, the New York hip-hop group went by the Warlocks. Sheek Louch, Styles P, and Jadakiss endured a name change at the hands of Sean Diddy Combs when he inked a deal with them in 1995, and they were happy to adjust because it was during a time when Bad Boy Records was in its prime. However, years later, the members of the Lox were ready to leave Bad Boy because their more hardcore rap style did not fit well with the label's creative direction. They did everything possible to legally free themselves from the contract, but Jadakiss revealed what led to Diddy finally allowing the rappers to continue their careers without Bad Boy.
When Styles threw the chair at Puff, that was probably the last straw for that.
From 2000 on, the guys have released 3 albums, so let's listen to some songs.
I need a ride or die chick. I push the Cadillac truck with my friends in the back.
She on the streets, the hammer gon' blow. The hood fucking with his butt. What else you need to know? I was gonna pull up.
Money in the club, so I gave it to him. Homie wanted 50 from the plug, so I gave it to him.
Get you, where did it fit you? Got 13 inches. I see the big picture. If it's to get.
You'll be shocked by this story. G-Dep has released only 2 albums in 6 years of collaboration with Bad Boy, and then he and Puffy went their own separate ways. After that, he became heavily addicted to drugs, as he told in 2008, and after his arrest participated in the Narcotics Anonymous' 12-step program. And late at night on December 15, 2010, G-Dep exited the subway station. He did not tell where he was going because he knew that they would try to stop him. The tragedy happened in 1993, when the guy was 18 years old. He decided to earn some extra money. He found his victim, approached him, pointed a gun at him, and asked, "Where's the money?" But the man did not answer. He asked again and again. There was no answer. As a result, G-Dep fired 3 shots. After that, his life changed and his mother said that he became a completely different person, quieter, and so on. Then he signed a contract with Bad Boy Records for $350,000, but by 2002 he was broke and moved into a neighborhood just a block away from the crime scene. Shortly after returning to East Harlem, G-Dep lost his grandmother and the Bad Boy deal. To cope with this, he started smoking even more. Between 2003 and 2007, he was arrested 17 times, mostly for drug possession, sometimes for trespassing, hanging out in a building that wasn't his, often to get high, and once for theft of services, slipping through the exit gate to steal a free ride on the subway. Between trips to Rikers, he tried to jumpstart his career without much success. How did this whole story end? He was sentenced to 15 years in prison. Why would he rat on himself? Because his conscience was tormenting him. When Diddy found out about all this, he called G-Dep's wife and gave her support. Biggie was the main star of Bad Boy Records and released many hits.
Please, lyrically, nigga C, B.I.G, be flossing, jig on the cuff. All a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine, Salt and Pepper and Heavy D up in the limousine. When you call me Big Papa, throw your hands in the air if you's a true.
The title of the album, Life After Death, turned out to be prophetic. Released 16 days after Wallace's death, the album continued the creative path started by the rapper. Wallace's creative life after death continued in the future. Unreleased recordings were put out in the format of 2 more albums, Born Again and Duets, the final chapter.
Marijuana smoke, throw you in a choke, gun smoke, gun smoke. Biggie smokes for mayor, the rap slayer. Killing is thrilling, all the blood spilling is all a part of drug dealing. A born gangster, my daddy was a thug.
But it wasn't these albums that became the rapper's main posthumous legacy. The image of the notorious B.I.G. continued to live on as a role model for millions of those with a similar fate to Christopher Wallace, who began his journey from the very bottom with drugs and crime on the streets of Brooklyn. Many may think that his lyrics, often dark and crude, could not be a source of inspiration, but for some that's exactly what they were. The idea that even being from the poorest neighborhood, you can, with some effort, get off the streets and succeed.
Only make moves when your heart's in it, and live the phrase, sky's the limit, motherfucker.
Should I make a video about what happened to the members of other labels? Let me know in the comments. I recommend you check out the next video about why Eazy-E wanted to kill Suge Knight. I'll see you guys later.